My name is Dr. Rick Seguil.
And action. Hey, Jay had a... This is Kirk And action. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick. And Carmen had a question about biphasic reaction. Biphasic reaction is something that happens when you use medical cannabis. And I'll explain in a second. But if this is the first time you're finding me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and the alert button, I put bell, alert button to find out when I do new videos. So, biphasic reaction. You really, if you're going to be shopping for a car or going into the grocery store to get the ingredients for your recipe, you got to know how to cook, how to choose the right ingredients. So, you can certainly come to me or use the patient care advisors, the bud tenders, to find out what to buy, or you can do your own reading. Now look how thick this is. I'm still getting through this, but just come to me and I can help decipher this stuff and give you a doctor's view about how to interpret the data and how to best dial in your dose. So here is here. I put this together to show you what usually happens when you try to dose and find your, get dialed in, find your recipe for combination of THC and CBD. So this is just a brief summary, but this is a graph, and this is the effect, positive effect that you're looking for, whether it's sleep, anxiety, rheumatoid arthritis control, cancer beating, or anything with regards to having a better life. This is the dose. So the higher you go with the dose, and the higher you go with the positive effects. So something called a biphasic reaction is that at the right dose initially, which is usually hopefully going to be small. I want small dosing so you don't have to spend so much money. Small dosing of the proper amounts of THC, CBD will get you excellent effect. But if you go a little higher, some people are impatient or they're just in too much pain to wait, so they go higher with their dose really quick. And what happens is you might get an effect, but then it'll taper off. So you'll increase the dose, as we go this way, increase the dose, but you'll lose the effect. And you'll be on massive amounts of doses, like smoking every hour, which I don't agree with. Because when you smoke the flower, just in a summary, or a nutshell, when you smoke the flower, you get like 120 different cannabinoids and about 400 different compounds, terpenes and a couple other things. So, and you will get the positive effect if you're trying to beat disease and inflammation or calm down the brain, but you'll have all the other effects too. So you're going to get high and you might get intoxicated. You're going to be sleeping all day. So we don't want that. We want you functioning, we want your inflammation control, you want you to beat your disease. But as you go higher with the dose, your effect will decrease. And then you'll go higher, higher, higher with the dose, looking for the same effect you had with a smaller dose. That's why you have to be patient with this. And you got to keep everything stable, and you got to eat like you're trying to beat a disease, and you got to exercise like you're trying to beat a disease without hurting yourself. So when you go super high, when you go higher, you lose the effect until you go massively high with dose, like the highest amount of dose, and you get the effect again. It's kind of weird, but if you get the effect again, good for you. But then you're going to be spending a ton of money because you're getting a lot of product in. And that's why I like to have a layer of CBD on first. Well, it kind of depends on the patient. CBD 2 to 3 times a day. I think twice a day is economical. 3 times a day, if I could do it, I would do it that way, especially after a tough exercise or after a disease flare. So if you have the level of CBD in your system, then the THC, even though you're trying to reward the nerve cells, calm down the brain with THC, the THC will be lasting longer and have a more powerful effect because of the combined CBD/THC effect in your blood and in your brain and in your muscle and your immune system. This is how it works. So there's a couple of different systems that occur in your body: digestive system, sympathetic system, neurological system, cardiology system or cardiac system, and parasympathetic system. Everybody knows the sympathetic, which is fight or flight. And what happens when I go work out? I just worked out. I was listening to Metallica, Godsmack, Saliva. I was listening to a bunch of just to drive my endorphins up and adrenaline up, and for a reason, right? So that's good for sympathetic, but it also is for fight or flight. In case you get in danger or you have to move from a burning building, you have to get the adrenaline going. That's cool, but not all the time. If you have it in traffic, if you have it when you're giving a speech, if you have it when you're waking up and the alarm clock's going off, that's not good. That leads to inflammation. So there's also the parasympathetic or love system. As my friend Ava Selhub writes about, the love system or parasympathetic is when you calm, when you have sex, when you are procreating, when you, that's the same thing as sex, when you are trying to be creative. All those things, when you're at peace, when you're in nature therapy, when you're meditating, when you're doing yoga, all that stuff is when you rebuild stuff. This is when you tear down stuff. This is just survival. This is just procreation of the species. So those two dichotomies exist in your body, not at the same time, but depending on where you are in life, you can turn on one, turn on the other, right? Sometimes this is totally off, this is totally on, especially in this world of inflammation that we're in now. So those are the systems, and they all work independently. Sometimes they're supposed to work cohesively, but in a mixed up kind of body with a lot of inflammation, metal, parasites, Lyme disease, gluten allergies, attack against self like thyroiditis or Crohn's disease, they won't work together. So what happens is you get the endocannabinoid system, which I think is corporate. Corporate comes in and runs the front desk, the back clinic, the accountability or the accounts payable. So corporate comes in and controls all these systems. So that's kind of cool the way your dose, if you do it initially and at the right dose and you keep it up and you balance life, corporate will make all these guys work better. That makes sense, hopefully? So your endocannabinoid system, if used properly, if used on a regular basis, will make every other system work better, including the neurological, immune system. So it's all pretty cool. That's why I love the way this medical cannabis works. The problem is, I think, what happens with the biphasic part is that if you just use your endocannabinoid system to push your body into working a little better, if you don't take care of the root cause of your illness, like abusive relationship, terrible job, eating bad, gluten allergy but you love to eat bread, dairy allergy but you insist on eating cheese from an American cow. If you do all that stuff and you just take this layer of cannabis, then eventually these systems push harder and go offline again. Thus, your usual dose doesn't work. That's how I interpret it. Until you get a higher than normal dose, and then it pushes these guys back in. Corporate will come back in. So my son likes watching The Office. It's so funny because nobody at the office works at that show on Netflix. And corporate occasionally comes in and tries to get them to shake up and do well. But then everybody goofs off again. So I think corporate's the endocannabinoid system. All the other workers and systems here are the people in the office. So sometimes corporate works well, and then if you don't change the employees, then usually you go back to not working well until corporate comes in again. So you don't want to have corporate keep on coming every week. So you have to change, instead of going to this unresponsive area, the biphasic part, you want to change your root cause. So if you, hopefully that works in a nutshell so you can understand, but if you, certainly you can read about the way certain flowers work, certain hybrids work, combination of hybrids, even using omega-3 or probiotic to make your endocannabinoid system work better, adding meditation and breath exercise to make your endocannabinoid system work better. So if you do get relief, cool, dial it in, keep on going with your usual dose, just like I say CBD should be given 2 to 3 times a day for the rest of your life, as long as you don't have any problems with being high during the day and you're productive. Use the THC for sleep or for calming down the nerve cells, and when you get control, cool, praise that you're in control and you're feeling better. But then after a while, get off your butt, get started with a restrictive diet, or at least a healthy diet, anti-inflammatory diet, maybe a fasting diet. Every once in a while I like fasting mimicking diet. Gluten-free, dairy-free, all that crap free. And then start moving, don't get hurt, get coaches to guide you as far as calming practice, and then you might not need, well, your endocannabinoid system, your cannabis will work better, and you might even be able to decrease your dose of opioids, decrease your rheumatologic medicines, maybe get off of a couple of endocannabinoids if you can, pull down on the THC, just maintain with CBD. So that it is a biphasic reaction in a nutshell. That's how I'd say dial in your use of cannabis. If you're using hemp, Same thing, you just don't have the luxury of THC. But again, start reading, doing some research on National Institute of Health, and then empowering yourself with anecdote and data. So anecdote is what you get when you talk to a patient care advisor or a bud tender, and you see what works for the rest of the population. But I think everybody's an individual and everybody has to be dialed in. So you might take that anecdotal story, see if it works for you, and if it doesn't, you get the data and try to dial it in, get to an expert. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but get to somebody that knows their stuff, research on your own, and hopefully you'll be able to get this taken care of. So good question, Carmen. Hopefully, those of you who have other comments, scroll way down below on YouTube and you can see when the comment section comes up. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next Minute Clinic.